Hey there, thanks for tuning into Duckbricks. I'm Chris, and today we'll be taking a look at set number 75575 from the Wave 2 LEGO Avatar sets, Ilu Discovery. This is the smallest LEGO Avatar set released so far, and it's quite interesting because despite being a pretty small build, it comes with two different specialized minifigures as well as an entire creature build and a little bit of underwater foliage as well. And so, without further ado, I think it's now time we jump into this review. But remember, if you want to see a mega review of all of these sets, I already have published that, where you can see my thoughts on this and all of the other Avatar 2 sets as well. So, without further ado, let's jump right in to the individual review.
Alright, so kicking things off, we have set number 75575, Ilu Discovery, retailing for $25 US. It comes with the Ilu, a little bit of underwater foliage, as well as two minifigures, Saria and Tuk. Now, much like many of the other Avatar set reviews, there will be very minor spoilers for Avatar 2 in this review, just in terms of the accuracy of the figures and the build itself, so do be warned of that. If you haven't seen the movie and want to go in completely blind, maybe don't watch these until you've seen it. Otherwise, let's jump right into the review. So this is our smallest Avatar set to date, although honestly it is probably going to be one of my favorites. The actual creatures in the movie are very memorable, and it was a real blast seeing them on screen, and what was even cooler is that I actually got a chance to interview the LEGO Avatar design team, and this was one of their favorite sets to put together, and I can see how, because this is actually really accurate. So much like some of the other LEGO Avatar sets, this kind of follows the tradition of having a little bit of a stand to place the creature, which is the main kind of focus of the actual set itself. You do have the two different characters and you can pose them around, and one thing I do like is that each of the bases of water are octagonal, and this was a very deliberate design choice, so even though there's no connection points like in the first wave, you can actually connect them in some sort of a grid to make it kind of look like they're part of the same scene. We'll be taking a look at the minifigures later on, so I'm just going to go ahead and remove them right now and just focus in on the build for the set itself. So, the set obviously features the Ilu, which is one of the most memorable creatures from the movie. If you want to, you can just remove it from the stand here, and it just works like this, so you can move it all around. It's basically a small version of a lot of the other Avatar figures that we've seen before in terms of the builds, but you've got these vinyl pieces which can move up and down, back and forth like so you've got these kind of wing-like elements here, although in this case they're fins. You have two of the smaller fins here, and you do have a specially molded new head. This head can move on a ball joint back and forth, and the jaw, of course, can open and close, so it is just using the raptor jaw like so that's basically something we've seen from the Jurassic World stuff, but it's nice to see that being able to be moved around. You also have the connection points for the hair pieces here, much like the initial wave, a little bit of a saddle, and honestly, that's about it. For $25, I think this set is remarkably well priced. It actually includes a full-on creature, which does feel like it could be $15 to $20 on its own, but it also comes with a fairly substantial amount of foliage that you can kind of move around. This is a really cool configuration because then, if you wanted to place your minifigures swimming alongside it, perhaps you can just stick them along here and kind of have it being sheltered underneath the Ilu, which is a really nice way to set things up. Again, initially I was a little bit skeptical of the way that the bases work because I really was hoping that they would have a similar compatibility as they did with the Wave 1 sets, which actually could clip together, but now I'm seeing that not having clips actually allows you to do all sorts of different things with them, and I can't wait to put them all together at the end and actually showcase what all of the other Avatar sets look like. Now, in terms of the actual stuff itself, there are actually quite a large number of recolors. I believe the designer said this set includes like 11 different recolored pieces in it or something crazy like that, which is very cool to see. One of the most special ones to me are the clips in transparent clear. These are 1x1 clip elements in clear for the first time to represent fish swimming by, and I think that's really cool how they actually have the fish clipped on with a clear piece, so if you really kind of look at it from afar, you might not even see that they're clipped on and it looks like they're just swimming along, which is really cool. Now, in terms of the rest of the foliage, this is the small set, so it is the most basic, but I do think it is a fairly decent representation of what you would see underwater, and overall this is just a really fun set to put together and play around with. If I had one complaint, I just kind of wish that the neck was able to be articulated on here with a ball joint. If they had used a mixel joint for this neck, you would have actually been able to move this head back and forth, which I think would have been a big bonus. Thankfully, you can do it if you have your own pieces. Sure, it'll turn this gray, but it's not a big deal because this is already gray anyways. You could literally use the exact same mixel joint piece, put it here, put one of the joint pieces here, that would still be dark gray, and you would essentially achieve the same effect, but be able to move the neck back and forth. And I guess they wanted to keep it fixed so you can actually make it easier to attach onto the figure, but to be honest, I really would have appreciated a head that you can actually move side to side, so I probably will be making that modification. One thing that I noticed some people have been saying about the Avatar sets is that they do prefer stuff like fabric or brick-built wings over the vinyl pieces. I actually got a chance to ask the designers about this, and what they said was they specifically chose vinyl because it is the easiest material to actually be able to print decals on, and they wanted to get the maximum amount of detail on these particular pieces. It's a shame that every single one of them has to say copyright 2023 the LEGO Group in like really clear text, but overall, I'm a fan of how these turned out. And I definitely think the vinyl pieces have grown on me. While initially I did feel they looked a little bit cheap and definitely didn't fit in exactly well with the rest of the environment, I actually think they work out pretty well for this particular creature, and overall I'm very happy with how it works. And so, we've basically summed up this one set, and again, we'll be taking a look at the minifigures at the end, so let's go on. Alright, so here we have the minifigure selection for the Ilu Discovery. It comes with only 2 minifigures, and one thing I really do like is that they actually are representing different stages of growth in these. The mid-legs represent a child character, and the regular legs represent a teen character. So it's kind of funny how that's reversed compared to original LEGO minifigures, which just have it all scaled down by one factor. Specifically, the child is Took, who is one of the kind of main children of the movie, as well as Taria, who is one of the natives of the Water Tribe. Now, one thing that I do want to note here is that I do kind of wish that they actually introduced a new molded element for the tail for the members of the Metkayina tribe. There was not to spoil anything too significant, but there was a point in the movie where they specifically point out the fact that the water-dwelling Na'vi actually have larger tails that kind of look like flippers instead of the very skinny and short tails that the tree-dwelling Na'vi have. That would have been a really nice detail to actually distinguish them apart. Obviously, you can tell they're different kind of skin colors in terms of one being a lighter blue and one being the medium blue, which I do appreciate because they were very clearly different colors in the movie. I just kind of wish that they also extended that to the tail, because that was actually a pretty interesting point in the movie showing how differently they evolved. But hey, maybe there's always the next movie to fix that. Moving onwards though, this is a really nice graphic design for both characters. I think that this character in particular, the Taria one, actually turned out really well. The way that the character appeared in the movie is actually quite similar to the design of this, and I love the inclusion of the metallic printing here. That is something that feels very special for the character itself, and what's really cool is that they actually introduced a brand new hairpiece for Took and some of the other characters here, which is kind of this tousled hair, which is really fantastic to see. The hairpiece is really accurate, although to be completely honest, I feel like the face could have been improved a little bit. When LEGO's making standard minifigures, it's very clear which designs are meant to be children and which are meant to be adults, but to be honest, if you kind of just look at this and ignore the legs, this could work for maybe a slightly older character. I think when I see this, I'm thinking teenager or even adult if you have it on the right body, whereas this was clearly a very small, kind of almost toddler age, or maybe like a 4 or 5 year old in the movie. So I definitely wish that they kind of really pushed the child aspect of this character more, maybe making the eyes a little bit bigger or changing the expression a bit. Not really sure exactly what could have been done for the graphic design of this, but overall, the face is okay, and the rest of the figure is pretty good. And I love the inclusion of the mid-legs being used for a child character. Overall, these are 2 good characters I would include. I think, again, without spoiling the movie too much, this was basically the perfect figure lineup for the set. Took was pretty enamored with the Ilu creatures, and of course, Taria was the one introducing them to the creatures and kind of teaching them how to ride them, so I think the minifigure selection makes absolutely perfect sense here, and it's really cool to actually see them being used together.
Alright, and with that, we have summed up our review of set number 75575, the Ilu Discovery, the smallest set from LEGO Avatar, but actually one that has quite a lot to offer in terms of play value and being able to play around with 2 different figures, a whole creature, and a scenery build as well. So let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of this particular LEGO Avatar set? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Do any of you own this set? And if so, what do you think about it? And what has been your experience building it? Definitely stay tuned to Duckbricks for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming your way very soon. Thanks so much, and bye for now.